1. Case Summary. Carlill v. Carbolic Smoke Ball Company, 1893, is a landmark English contract law case which dealt with the issues of offer and acceptance, consideration, and intention to create legal relations. Background facts. Claimant plaintiff, Mrs. Lewis Elizabeth Carlill. Defendant, Carbolic Smoke Ball Company. Background. The Carbolic Smoke Ball Company produced a product called the Smoke Ball, which they claimed could prevent users from contracting influenza. The company placed an advertisement in various newspapers, offering a £100 reward to anyone who used the Smoke Ball 3 times daily for 2 weeks and still contracted influenza. The advertisement also stated that £1,000 had been deposited with the Alliance Bank to show their sincerity in the matter. Mrs. Carlill purchased and used the Smoke Ball as directed, but nevertheless contracted influenza. She claimed the £100 reward, but the company refused to pay, arguing that the advertisement was not intended to create a binding contract. Argument. Claimant's argument. Mrs. Carlill argued that the advertisement constituted a unilateral offer to the world at large, and that by performing the conditions stated in the offer using the Smoke Ball as directed, she had accepted the offer and thus a binding contract was formed. She contended that she was entitled to the £100 as she fulfilled all the requirements stated in the advertisement and subsequently contracted influenza. Defendant's argument. The Carbolic Smoke Ball Company contended that the advertisement was not a serious offer, but a mere sales puff, and thus not legally binding. They argued that there was no intention to create legal relations and that a contract could not be formed with the whole world. Additionally, they claimed that Mrs. Carlill had not provided any consideration, as using the Smoke Ball did not constitute a legal detriment. Final outcome and legal justification. Outcome. The Court of Appeal found in favor of Mrs. Carlill. The court held that the advertisement constituted a unilateral offer to the world at large, which could be accepted by anyone who performed the conditions stated in the offer. Mrs. Carlill had provided consideration by using the Smoke Ball as directed and suffering the detriment of contracting influenza. The court also ruled that the company's deposit of £1,000 in the bank demonstrated their intention to be legally bound by the offer. Legal justification. 1. Offer and acceptance. The advertisement was deemed a clear and definite offer capable of being accepted by anyone who performed its terms. By using the Smoke Ball as directed and contracting influenza, Mrs. Carlill effectively accepted the offer. 2. Intention to create legal relations. The court concluded that the deposit of £1,000 in the bank was evidence of the company's intention to be bound by the terms of the offer. 3. Consideration. Mrs. Carlill's use of the Smoke Ball as directed by the company was deemed sufficient consideration. The court recognized that the inconvenience suffered by Mrs. Carlill in using the product as prescribed constituted a legal detriment. 4. Unilateral contracts. This case established that unilateral contracts, where an offer is made to the world at large and accepted by performing the stipulated act, are valid and enforceable in English law. Key concept. The Carlill v. Carbolic Smoke Ball Company, 1893, case is a foundational case in contract law, particularly for its illustration of unilateral contracts and the elements required for a legally binding agreement. Implications. 1. Unilateral offers. The case confirms that advertisements can constitute unilateral offers if they are clear, definite, and demonstrate an intention to be bound. 2. Acceptance by conduct. Acceptance of an offer can be performed through conduct, and the fulfillment of specified conditions can constitute acceptance. 3. Consideration. Consideration in a contract can include inconvenience or detriment suffered by the promisee. 4. Intention to create legal relations. Evidential actions such as depositing money in a bank can demonstrate a party's intention to enter into a binding contract. Key learnings. 1. Understanding how advertisements can create binding obligations. 2. Recognizing the importance of intention to create legal relations. 3. Knowing how consideration can be constituted in a contract. 4. Appreciating how unilateral contracts operate within the legal framework